All right, looks like we're live here today. Welcome everybody back to round two of this tiny wave painting. As you can see, I've got a little bit different setup today, so maybe we can get a little bit of a better coloration for everyone. Let me just mute this other stream here so I can not be conflicted with what's going on. But welcome everybody. Like I said, this is round two of our tiny wave. This is continuation of last time we went live with regards to the same scene. We went ahead and blocked in the scene last go around. So we still have some general areas that still need to be colored. Today with round two, we're going to work on the modeling phase, which for me, after the block in, this is the opportunity where I'm going to get all my colors roundabout where I want them to be. I'm going to get all the shapes and everything within our scene to be more closer to the end product than just a simple block in. So I went ahead and took the liberty of mixing up some of the colors we're going to use today. If you want to know what those colors are, I'll direct you back to the initial block in phase video. You can go through there and see the colors, so I'm not going to be showing the palette. We're just going to dig into work here. Let me put a little bit of our liquid down on our palette, and then we can get started. Feel free, obviously, guys, if you have any questions or have any comments, either drop them in the chat or let me know some way. If you're watching after the fact and you have some questions, feel free to do that as well. But we're going to go ahead and start. I've got my liquid down on my palette here. Grab a paper towel for any time we may need it, and then we'll get a start. I'm going to be using just the dagger brush again. I think I showed it to us last time. I like to use these daggers, as I mentioned before, because they're so versatile. You can put them on the edge, get nice fine lines. You can put them on the actual dagger side, get a nice longer stroke with it. But we'll use this primarily for our scene today. Let me pull up our reference shot, and then we'll dig in. Went ahead and move my reference over to the pad. That way I can see it up close and impersonal. So the first thing, as we did last time around, we're going to start with our back area. Generally, when I'm doing any particular scene, I start with what's furthest away and then work our way to the foreground. So for today, the beginning will be this backer area. There's not a lot of detail within this area. You're just going to have the general flow of the water in the scene. It's all going to be kind of going the same direction as the wave. You can see the wave is starting to curl up and curl over. The general direction of the rest of the water is going to be in the same general direction. So we'll go ahead and start with a mixture that I had mentioned last time. It's the Viridian, it's the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the cad red light to desaturate it, and then some ultramarine blue. I think I said that, but let's go ahead and dig in here. We'll start. Hopefully the lights don't mess with us too much. If so, we'll fix it. It's showing up a little bit more green than we had last time. If you recall, if you joined us last time, it was showing up pretty dark. Now this go around, because the paint has already been on the panel for a while, we're going to get a little better perception of what the color actually is, due to the fact that this layer going on top of the other layer is starting to build a pretty good solid foundation. And so this paint is going to hang around a little bit longer than the other layer before it dries out. So I'll be able to work some of this color in and about without it drying up on me too fast. If you joined us last time, you know these panels, as I said, kind of have a habit of drying the paint, absorbing the paint pretty quickly, which is good if you're going to be painting the next day. So we're just kind of laying in some of this greenish blue color. I'm going to cover up some of the stuff that I demonstrated last go around with. So as we're working our way through with this color, we're looking to cover in some of those areas that maybe not have gotten much color last time. We're just going to put those on the canvas, on the panel. And after we covered the general area, we can come back in and darken this color up a little bit to show the relationship of the actual motion of the water. As we move from the complete top of our panel towards the top or the crest of this wave, the color does lighten up a little bit, and it happens just about right here. And I kind of relate that to the next wave starting to take shape. So we'll go ahead and block that area in. It looks like it's about right here. And all that is, if you recall, painting water boils down to three different things. The illumination that's on the water, where's your source of light? The depth of the water, how deep is the water? And also any obstructions in the water. So with this case, there may be some obstructions here that's changing the color of our water, but mostly I want to relate it to the depth is shallowing up. As we get closer to the top of this wave, that water is a little bit less because it's being sucked back into the next wave. You can't really see the next wave forming on the particular reference, but just understand that because it is pulling that water back, this color is going to lighten up a little bit, and we'll throw that in here in a minute, but it's generally having the process of doing one of these numbers right here. Nice general swooping motion with the paint stroke. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and add a little bit of the titanium white to that. It's going to be basically the same color, just a little bit lighter approach. Maybe even throw in a little bit more of that Viridian green to green it up a little bit. But that little line is shaping up right about like this. As we pull this color in, there's obviously going to be some areas that are darker than the rest. Some are going to be lighter than the rest. Just work your way through with that little adjustments as you go through. The lighter the color of the water, obviously it shows some depth or maybe some color variation from the sun. The darker it is, maybe the sun's not hitting it right and it's in shadow. Looks like there's two areas within our area here that are showing a little bit of color variation. So we'll go ahead and put those in. When I paint water, I'll generally focus on just the color more so specific nature of the water. Generally because water itself can be so fluid, obviously no pun intended there, but the variations of the water doesn't have to be specific as far as your coloring goes, as long as we keep in mind that the water generally has the same direction in movement all the way around. You're going to be all right by adding some variance in color because as nature goes, there can be some variance, especially in ocean water that is pulling in, pulling out, crashing at times. some obstructions, whether it be the cloud cover going across or whether it be stuff in the actual water. You can just add to it as you go through. So don't focus too much on getting the color specific. As long as you have the resemblance of what you're looking for, it'll translate to the human eye. The human eye is really special in the fact that it'll fill in the blanks that we may not be able to see. Our brain will take over and fill in those blanks for us. In case you're wondering, this color that I'm painting on, that original tone, the Viridian, the ultramarine blue, a little bit of white, a little bit of cad red light to desaturate. It's our medium tone, or the middle tone rather. It's going to be good. As you'll see here, we're just going to lay this down like we did with the block-in phase. We're going to lay this down, and then when we come over with our other colors, it'll start to demonstrate the water direction. And what we'll do is we'll put a higher or a lighter color for our highlights, and then some darker colors. We'll probably just go straight Prussian blue with it to give those kind of dips and the drops in the next wave forming over. Right now we're just getting this toned down so it can accept the other colors without it being too dry. All right, that's looking pretty good. This area down bottom here, it's the lighter color, but I can tell that it's a little more greenish. So we'll go ahead and take our previous color that we lightened this area in and add a little more green to it. That looks pretty good. Come in and shape this wave up a little bit. There's a little dip there. It's looking pretty good so far. Looks pretty good. Let me check out the other area here to see if we can see what it actually looks like on camera. I want to always kind of relate to what I'm showing everybody. It looks pretty good. So we'll go back in, same color, add a little titanium white to it, a little bit of the Viridian green, and we're trying to look for a lighter color. Remember, this area here is the next wave lightening up, so we can shape this up by just bringing it in. It doesn't have to be perfect at this phase. We're just kind of modeling it. We can bring this color all the way up to kind of demonstrate how the water's moving. You might even be able to get away with adding just a little more ultramarine blue because it does tone up a little bit. Looking pretty good so far. Same color, a little more titanium white, and we'll come in and you'll really be able to see this color pop off. what I've done now that I've got that medium level color or that mid-tone down, laying this brighter color in is really going to represent the highlights of the waves as they're kind of, or the water direction rather. And it'll really start to shape up and look like the water's heading that direction. Looks pretty good. I think I'm going to add just a touch of our ultramarine blue to it. As we go back, that green kind of fades into a lighter blue color. That might be a little too much, but we'll work with it for now. One of the great things about oil painting is the workability time that you have. You have a lot of time to adjust your colors. You don't want to muddy up the situation by no means by over mixing things, but it gives you the ability to adjust colors by just adding a little more here or there. No questions yet. If you just joined, feel free to put a comment in the comment section there and let me know where you're from, or maybe something that you suggest for the painting. I'm open to the suggestions, and I'm open to questions at any given time, guys. I'm here to help as much as I can. Help you, whether you're a beginner, whether you're a intermediate, or whether you've been painting for years. Everybody can learn. The minute we stop thinking we can learn, it's probably the time that we're not going to grow much as artists. Let's go ahead and change to a different brush. I like to kind of keep my tones the same, or different brushes for different tones. We'll go ahead and grab a little bit of that Prussian blue, a little bit of our first mixture, and we'll make up a darker mixture for some of these areas that are less in the light. Looks like that's showing up pretty good for everybody. You might even get away with going just straight ultramarine blue with this, or excuse me, Prussian blue, because of the paint that's already wet on the canvas. It's going to give us a pretty good representation with the mixture. As it goes on the panel, it'll mix itself out. Back onto the palette, a little more ultramarine, a little bit of the mid-tone mixture. Give me 1 second. Let me test this chat, make sure it's working. I don't see nothing. Let me just test. There we go. Looks like it's working now. Not sure if you tried to ask a question and it didn't go through a minute ago. It seems to be working now, so feel free. So there's a couple of things that could be affecting this area on our scene. Why it's the dark color. It could either be the water gathering and it gets a little bit of depth there. Could be some obstructions in the water there. Or it could just be the shadow of a cloud. But recall, water isn't hard to paint. You just got to know those three concepts that I've stated time and time again. It's one of the three things affecting this area of the water that makes it darker. The only thing I'm thinking of when I'm doing this is making sure I'm following that general direction of the water. If you want to paint realistically, you got to kind of adhere to some of those concepts of science and the way perspective of how things naturally work. Water flow is definitely one of those things. Water's going to head in the same direction unless it's acted upon by other things, much like gravity. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion unless they're directed or acted on by other outside instances. Same thing with water. Water's going to flow in the way it's meant to flow unless something is interjecting it to move it. For our scene here, water's flowing this direction and it's going to flow that direction unless something is affecting it. With the case of our wave here, gravity, depth of water is affecting it, so it's no longer flowing this direction, it's going up and curling over. So you get a little more vertical as we pull forward to the wave there. Up in our little greenish area here, I'm going to change colors a little bit and try to add a little more depth. A little more of that Viridian green is going to shine through there. I think that'll be a good color for us. Oh yeah, that's good. And we can just pull that up into the next zone. Switch back to our lighter tone brush so we can dig in a little bit more with these areas that are roughed up by the water or just it's a lighter sun hitting it or just the depth, which I predict it is. All right, that's not terrible with regards to getting us started here. I don't want to overwork the area due to the fact that we're limited on time. I don't want to make these live streams too long. But that's a good start for our second layer. That's a good general modeling. We see our contours. We see where the depth is or the obstruction. We see the lighter color as this next wave is starting to take shape. So we'll go ahead and pull on down to the other wave. That way, like I said, we can get a general concept of what this wave is actually meant to look like instead of what it is now. A lot of unworked areas with this. So what I'll probably do is start with our darkest color and work our way to the lighter colors. The darkest colors within this scene are going to be where the wave is curling over, but you still see some of the depth inside these little draws where it's pulling over. We did a pretty good job marking them out with our block in, but now we need to come along and really model them out. I've got a pre-mixed color here. I don't think it's quite dark enough, so we'll add a little Prussian blue to it. And you'll see what I mean here in just one second. This particular piece right here is a really good example of the wave curling over itself. We're going to begin with a darker color, and I probably don't even have it dark enough there yet. The darkness is going to work its way. We're going to have a gradient from this area here, and as it works itself up, it's going to lighten itself up because it's starting to lose its depth. So we can continue to just lighten this color up until we get to the top of it. And that's where we'll be at our lightest tone. Smooth gradient is what we're looking for here. As we work our way up, it's going to turn greener and greener until it hits the greenest and the lightest phase up here. And that color is probably not even the right color, but it's a good start. So with waves, you have the curling over, the more shadow, the more depth it's going to be right here. It needs to be darker down here, and as you pull up, it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. Let's see if we can grab some of this lighter color to demonstrate that. Just kind of blend this one down. Make a nice gradient for that. Looks okay for now. Several other patches that come through on this scene. Another one is here. It pulls up. In fact, this whole area is going to be nothing but these little short strokes of variant water pulling itself up. I think what I want to do, instead of continuously working on that, I want to adjust our foam. Let me clean out our one highlight brush and we'll get back to the actual foam, because I don't think it's reading right now, and no matter what I do with the darker areas, because that's not light enough, you're not going to be able to see it. So let me see if I can't dig out a color to get this in here. Let's see what this looks like. These edges where the foam meets the actual open areas, they don't have to be crisp at this point. We're just kind of getting our bases down. Remember I said last time that this area is all in the shadow of the wave itself. So we're going to take on this bluish color. And we'll work it more as we progress. But right now, having this foam represent a nice strong blue will be where we need to head. It'll also give us the grounds for understanding the rest of the scene if we can set this blue color correctly. I think the color's working good. I think it's representing well on camera as well. So we're going to keep painting this in here. Remember, this is just modeling. We'll get into the details later with respect to, because there's going to be different variations of this foam as it goes up. Some areas are going to be lighter, some areas are going to be darker. But for now, this gives us a next good variation that we needed. It was not enough vibrancy in it. This particular scene has pretty vibrant colors. I want to demonstrate that. I want to get that in play. Oh, I'm sorry, apologize. I do see a comment. Hello from the UK. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here, especially from that far away. I don't know that we've ever had anyone in the chat from the UK, but I'm glad to have you here today. Make sure you don't hesitate if you have any questions. Remember this area, as I said, if you didn't join the live stream last time, this area is going to be one of our brightest colors because it's going to be the area that's not in the shadow of the wave. So it's going to be even brighter than this when we finally put in our final color for that. So this area is in shadow. That's going to be the lighter color. Some of these areas are going to be a little bit lighter than the rest just because of the nature of how the wave's curling over, seeing through the actual wave. So we're just blocking in these areas that are in the shadow to start with. Then we can come along and add those other colors. As you can see from where we started, it changes a lot by just adding a little bit more color or chroma to our initial block in. Starting to get a little bit more vibrancy now, and as when we come in with the actual highlights and the darker tones of the shadow area, it'll really bring it alive. But we're basically just blocking in a mid-tone, modeling out the areas that we want to see in this color, and then the next go around for the details we'll come in and we'll actually add in the highlights and the depth of the shadow. Kind of weird to say that because it's all in shadow, but even the shadows have shadows, and that's what will relate the next go around. So this comes in, really starts to plug in and shape up around here. I think we got a lighter color in this area. Still in the shadows, but it's starting to demonstrate a little bit of color variance. We're also going to need that for when we put in this actual white water crashing over here, because this is going to be more of this color, but It's always best to have your lights against your darks and your darks against the light. Even if this area didn't show as much as what I'm painting now, I would probably still lighten this area up more, just because when I put in the blues of the actual crashing water here, it's going to make this area pop a lot more if I was just to leave it there. Let me demonstrate that for you. I'll come in with those colors now. Now that I have a lighter variance here, once I put these darker colors in, it's really going to start to stand out against that other color. A little bit darker on our scale, but as you can see, that's probably still not even enough light coming through there. And our scene actually does represent that in its tone. We got a little bit more kind of greenish variant as we form up. Now, whether that's just because the white water is starting to shape up there, or whether there's more light coming in here, not really sure. Can't tell from our scene. But it's going to play really good as far as when we come in to make our next where the white water's falling over. What I'm noticing from the scene is this base color, as it folds up, it starts to lighten itself up. And that's going to be common with any wave structure due to the fact that it's starting to get more light penetration. Up here is our brightest, greenest colors that we're going to lay in here in a little bit. But I think this foam is starting to take on a little bit of variance in color, a little bit lighter because of that fact as well. It's still in the shadow, but you're starting to get some of this stuff peeking through areas that's going to make it look a little bit greener. That looks pretty good. Even some of these areas back over here, remember we said how this one fades out and we have a gradient from down here up to the lighter tones up top. Most of these over here are going to have some of that same effect just due to the fact that they're running out of water too, or the light is starting to shine through. Let's see. What I'll probably do now is just cover up all this area that was pre-existing from our block in. That way we can have a good head start towards the next go around. A lot of this area underneath the wave here is going to be just water jumbled over, the shadow of which kind of interesting, this shaping of this foam. We have this and it comes back across. Really unique shape to it. It's going to be really fun to do once we start getting those lighter colors in where the actual sun is shining behind it. Man, that's really going to make this area pop. It's all going to be over here. Just kind of looking at the painting, seeing where this bluer color is. Going to have a little bit of area of fold over here of shadow. Rounds itself out. It's definitely added more shadow to our scene than what we started with regarding the initial block in. I think that's okay. I think once we start to color grade some of these areas back down and where they should be, it's really going to be able to tell. Which I think I'm going to add some of these highlights now where the sun's shining through the wave, so we can just get a kind of a gradual balance of what we're looking at. Just plugging these little highlights in where they are. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not in the detail phase right now. We're just kind of modeling it, taking the next step along the way. Really bright up underneath these cresting areas of the wave itself. This color may not even be exactly right, but we can adjust it along the way. The great thing about oil paints is you have workability time, but you also have the ability to experiment of sorts because you can just mix it out to the colors of the next thing, and the next go around you can add to it whatever color you think it should be. And you keep doing that all the way down the wave. Let's see, this is the next color. And this one, you see how adding those lighter value colors up beside the blue shadow color really makes that area sing and pop? That's the whole concept of me putting it in now, so I can start to judge. All right, that's too bright, that's not enough, that's too dark. We can adjust it from here. Walk-in was mainly just to get the colors I thought and where they should be, big shapes, big colors. But now we're starting to refine the colors. We're far from being perfect, but we're starting to refine the colors the way they should be and starting to model out everything on our actual scene. And boy, that color is really showing up on the live stream. I can see it's not quite as bright as what you're seeing. I'll have to take the picture and show everybody the end results, but it's definitely not as bright, as vibrant as what you're seeing on the screen there. That's okay. I'll give you the end result. As you're painting it yourself, if you try to attempt something like this, it's good to have your own experience anyways. You don't have to be perfect for it to be a nice, good looking wave. All it has to be is representative of what you're seeing with your eyes. Remember I said last time that the key to painting realistic is forgetting what you know as far as what you've experienced with your own eyes, and just painting what you see on the actual scene, on your reference. A lot of times that will coincide with your knowledge, but a lot of times that experience may kind of dampen you from painting the scene correctly because you're painting what you know instead of painting just what you see. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but trust me, the number one thing that I would tell people is to paint exactly what you see on your reference and then take it from there. It's going to provide a better experience if we can just paint what we see on the reference material. Even with these areas here, there's going to be a little bit of gradients, the color variation as it pulls up towards the top of the crest of the wave. You're going to have some variance in this greenish color. This probably isn't enough, and I'll adjust it here in a minute. But we're going to have a gradient because it's being pulled up the wave. Let's add a little bit of viridian to that, and that should give us right about the color we're looking for. That may be too bright. That's a little better. This whole area is going to be almost vertical, so we'll come in with this green. Looks like we're getting close to our hour limit that I've always tried to set these live casts to. I know it looks like we've got a long ways to go, but as you can tell, we're starting to build up the color, starting to build the shape, getting some of those colors where they should be. And so the next time we pick up, it's going to be a better shape than where we started today. And that's the point of painting with layers in particular, is to build up those layers progressively over time to where when you finally get down to the end, you got yourself a pretty good looking scene. And I think we've achieved that. We're starting to get a little bit of the variance with respect to our colors. We're starting to get a better shape and form factor out of this scene. So when we join it next time, it may just go ahead and finish this off, unless others would like to see it continued on the live stream. I may go ahead and just put my head down and work on this scene a little bit more today and get us finished out for this scene. I got an idea for another scene, which will be the next series of video in this channel, on this channel rather. I think it'll be something that will be interesting to people. I'm really excited. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Not going to spoil it as of yet, but it's something that I've always wanted to do or experiment with. And I think it'll be interesting to show a video on the concept that I want to try. So after we finish this scene up, that'll be the next on the channel. It should be interesting. So if you're curious as far as what that's going to be and you're not joined us live, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you feel so, but subscribing to the channel is going to let you know that if I release a video, you'll be in line to be notified for when it comes out. So I think that's about where we're going to leave this particular day and this particular scene. I'll probably work on it a little bit longer today, maybe even try to get as close to where we're finished with it. But until next time, happy painting once again. I'd love to have you part of the channel, so make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell, and you'll be aware of when the next painting video comes out. Until then, have a good day.